等到天黑的时候，哇，这个夜景好漂亮啊！看一看。
We are leaving Zhuhai now and heading to Zhongshan, the second stop on our Guangdong trip. Zhongshan is right next to Zhuhai. It's only about 20 minutes by high-speed train or around an hour by car. I rented a car locally and drove to this famous Lingnan city along the Qijiang River.
看一看，哦。
We'll be spending a day here exploring one of the key cities in the Greater Bay Area.
还可以。
As soon as we arrived in Zhongshan that evening, we couldn't wait to check out one of the local Daipaidong spots.
就是这个。
奶香虾。
对。3位啊，随便坐就可以了。
Creamy giant freshwater prawns, salt and peppercorn, squid in savory sauce, and beef with Chinese broccoli are all local favorites here.
干杯！来中山快乐，干杯！吃大虾，有奶油味吗？
反正里边没吃过这样的，
好酥好脆，然后那种
好多都能嚼碎。
对，这个皮儿都能咬，其实不用剥皮儿。而且真的是好浓的奶油味儿，好吃好吃好吃。
Honestly, the creamy prawns were incredible. The rich buttery sauce paired perfectly with the firm, bouncy texture of the prawns. Every bite was ridiculously satisfying. Beef with Chinese broccoli is another classic Cantonese dish. What makes it so good is the balance between the tender beef and the fresh, slightly crunchy greens. These are definitely the kind of dishes you have to try when visiting Guangdong.
我们今天就到了中山市，然后今天一整天就会在中山市里面 City Walk， 然后我们的起点就是綦江公园，从这个公园可以一路走到中山最主要的市中心的一些比较好看的景点啊、楼房啊、街区啊之类的，所以现在我们就是起点。 然后开始我们这一天的旅程。
Qijiang Park is basically a living piece of Zhongshan's industrial history. This place used to be a shipyard built back in the 1950s, but it's since been transformed into a really unique park with a surprisingly modern design. What's cool is that they kept a lot of original industrial structures here. Rusty old factory buildings, huge crane frames, abandoned water towers, all mixed together with banyan trees along the river and reeds growing by the lakeside. The contrast is honestly amazing. It's the kind of place that's perfectly for wandering around slowly and just taking in that blend of industrial ruin aesthetics and nature quietly reclaiming the space. Leaving through the north gate of the park, we crossed the bridge over the Qijiang River and made our way to the other side.
就可以看到这边岸边的风景。
Then we arrived at one of Zhongshan's most famous historic streets, Sunwen West Road Pedestrian Street. This street is basically an open-air museum of early modern Chinese architecture. Along the way, you'll find old established businesses, historic landmarks, and some beautifully preserved buildings from the Republican era. But the real highlight is the long row of Nanyang-style arcade buildings lining both sides of the street. As you stroll down the 500-meter stretch, you pass elegant columns, vintage shop signs, and restored street lamps that make it feel as though you've stepped back into Shiqi 100 years ago. Many of the street's most iconic buildings from the early 20th century have been carefully restored, including the Sihao Grand Hotel, the Sincere Company Building, and the former HSBC office building. What I love is how the street manages to keep its historic charm, while also bringing in new life through local crafts, cultural heritage, cafes, and food. If you want to experience Zhongshan's old-world character and everyday local atmosphere, this is probably the best place to start.
这里有一个西山古寺。西山寺。
Following the pedestrian street a little further, we came across Xishan Temple, a historic temple that was first built during the Ming Dynasty more than 400 years ago. Even though it sits right in the middle of Zhongshan's busiest shopping district, the moment you step inside, everything just feels calm and peaceful. It's a quiet escape from the city and still an important place of worship for locals. At the entrance, you'll pass beneath the old Liumian ancient path archway before entering the temple grounds, where towering trees and tranquil courtyards create a wonderful, serene atmosphere. Many of the buildings still preserve architectural features from the Ming and Qing dynasties, from the traditional pitched roofs and timber frame structures to the intricate wood carvings that have weathered centuries of history. And then there's this kapok tree. It has stood here for more than 200 years, with a thick trunk covered in red wishing ribbons. As the breeze moves through the branches, the ribbons gently flutter in the wind. Together with the soft sound of the temple bell in the distance, it feels as though countless hopes and wishes are quietly drifting up into the sky. Continuing along Sunwen Middle Road, we arrived at Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall, built in honor of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the pioneer of China's modern democratic revolution. Unfortunately, the building is currently undergoing conservation and restoration work, so we weren't able to go inside this time. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to see it again once the renovation is complete.
中山至上海直线1256公里。去这里吃午餐。
Back on Sunwen West Road, I tracked down Sun Qijiang Tea House, a historic restaurant that Dr. Sun Yat-sen was said to visit quite often. More than a century later, it's still standing here on the same street, welcoming visitors who come to sample some of Zhongshan's most famous local dishes. The braised Shiqi pigeon, shrimp dumplings in ginseng broth, steamed beef balls with aged tangerine peel, and the balangan grains in superior stock are all dishes recommended by the chef. Shiqi roasted pigeon is an absolute must order. It's marinated in the traditional master stock infused with more than a dozen spices, then deep fried at high heat to lock in all the juices. When it arrives at the table, it's beautifully golden and incredibly tempting. The skin is perfectly crisp, while the meat stays tender, juicy, and packed with flavor right down to the bone. After one bite, it's easy to see why this dish has become Zhongshan's most famous culinary icon.
它那个骨头好像都脆了，你觉不觉得？都甜死了。骨头好像都不用顾的感觉。
人参的汤，虾饺，尝一尝这个参汤虾饺怎么样？
里边
全是大虾是吧？全是新鲜的大虾，好鲜。
特别鲜。哇！必须得吃点菜。
全是肉，满满当当全是肉啊！我的天啊！
必须得吃点菜才行。
If you want a true taste of Cantonese cuisine, this is definitely something you have to try while you are here.
等到天黑的时候，哇，这个夜景好漂亮啊！看一看。
As night falls and the city lights begin to glow, the banks of the Qijiang River transform into a dazzling waterfront scene. Bright neon lights shimmer alongside the elegant silhouettes of the old arcade buildings, their reflections dancing across the rippling water. It's the perfect blend of old and new, creating one of the most beautiful night views in Zhongshan. After a busy day, locals start gathering at the night markets. The streets fill with the aroma of freshly cooked food, and the stores are packed with all kinds of local snacks. And honestly, after a full day of exploring, who could say no to good food?
这么大一盆臭豆腐，这是啥？
这是止血草，清热解毒。
什么草叫？
鸡血草
啊，鸡血草，这是折耳根，那是折耳根
不，这个不是折耳根，
这不是折耳根吗？
他老大毛根。
哦，
他们很像啊，他们很像，对对对，什么毛根就是
毛根竹折水的那个毛根，
这个是雷公根，就是这个。哦，广西叫雷公根，我们叫风大碗，就是学名的话叫鸡血草。
鸡血草，
对，
这个是做成什么喝呢？
也是加甘蔗，
加甘蔗的汁儿里头。
对，这因为甘蔗它带点甜，它有点润。
这是苦的吗？
它不苦。
我有点想要一杯。
要一杯呗。
你多少钱一杯
13块。
要一杯吧。
要一杯呗，甘蔗和它榨的呗哈。好，你给他来一杯吧。
对，我尝一尝。
给你。
太好了，谢谢。
没有，你如果没有这个味道呢，它不苦。
但是有点怪是吗？
对，有点清炒的味道。
喝点吧。
你先尝这原味，没加糖，啥都没加，原味的。
可以可以是吧？还可以，我觉得可以。
清热解毒下火的。
好。
这里有糖。
好喝，青草的味道，甜甜的。好，谢谢。
Or if you are really hungry, treat yourself to an authentic Zhongshan beef hot pot. There's something incredibly satisfying about a table covered with freshly sliced beef. Dip a tender slice into the rich satay sauce, and the sweet savory flavors instantly burst across your palate. It's the perfect way to end the day, comforting, warming, and absolutely delicious.
真牛肉汤，这个是带点椰汁味儿的汤底，椰子牛肉汤底。
And that's it for our day in Zhongshan. I hope you've enjoyed exploring this laid-back Lingnan city with me, from its historic streets and riverside views to its incredible local food. But our Guangdong adventure is far from over. In the next episode, we'll continue heading east to Shanwei and Shantou, where we'll discover dramatic coastlines, centuries-old traditions, and some of the best food in all of China. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.